everyone, welcome back to Gracie May's Tarot. So today we're going to be finding out what makes you so unique, what makes you so special. So you can choose your group based upon the symbol or the picture in the thumbnail, or you can choose your group based upon the pictures that we have here. So these are all pictures from Sailor Moon. I got these from an Etsy store. If I remember, I'll link it in the description box just in case you guys like these pictures. This isn't sponsored or anything like that, but just in case you guys like these and you have questions about them, you can find them yourself. I think they were only like $3, so not expensive at all. But anyway, so for pile 1, we have Sailor Moon and Chibiusa, or actually I guess I should say Usagi. But anyway, we have pile 1. They're here eating some potato chips, popcorn, whatever that is. And then for pile 2, we have Chibiusa and Hotaru. This is actually Sailor Saturn. And then for pile 3, we have I think she's called the Dark Lady. This is Chibiusa's like dark side. And her little Luna P. So take a moment, pause the video if you need to, meditate on the groups. Like I said, you can choose your group based upon the image in the thumbnail, or you can choose your group based upon the picture that you are most drawn to here. So I will see you guys in your reading. Hey pile 1, welcome to your reading. So if you chose this first image here, I will say there could be an element to you where you're always a kid at heart, where you're really connected with your inner child. There also could just be this like really fun heart on your sleeve, kind of quirkier side to you. I'm just picking up on the energy of this picture here. I also feel like there's a side to you that's very much about comfort and coziness, and that's kind of the energy that you want to radiate outwards towards others. Usagi in particular, like for all of her faults, she is definitely someone who is very sweet and nurturing and really wants to save everyone and be there for everyone in a way that's just very honest and pure and well-intentioned. When Sailor Jupiter is first introduced, people kind of prejudged her and were hard on her just because she looked like she was tough and looked like she was mean, but really she was so kind and sweet. And Usagi was really there for her and was just so open and accepting and kind, and made her feel welcomed at her new school. And so there could just be that energy to you. And also with Chibiusa here, she's someone who, for as young as she is, sorry, that siren is really loud. For being someone as young as she is, she's had to go through so many challenges. And I say young because she's frozen at her current age. She's actually like 900 years old or something crazy, but her development stops. And so for all intents and purposes, let's just say, for someone as young as she is, she's been through so much and she's handled it quite well. I think people are really hard on this character. They don't give her enough credit. And so there could be that element to you as well. Like, you've been through so much and people, I think, discount you and they don't understand everything that you've been through because you have this happy optimism, like you've really stayed in connection with your inner child. And so people think you've led an easy life even though you haven't. And so that could also be a side to you too that I think that people misunderstand. But anyway, let's get into your tarot now, pile 1. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the intro or not, but we'll be using pre-pulled oracle cards just to keep the reading from being too long. And a big thank you to my guides and your guides for coordinating these messages. Pile 1, what makes you so unique? Pile 1. We've got the 8 of Wands. What makes you so unique? We have the King of Wands. Pile 1, what makes you so unique? Pile 1. Pile 1, what makes you so unique? Pile 1, 10 of Pentacles. Let's get maybe 1 or 2 more cards for you all, and then we'll get started. Pile 1, what makes you so unique? Pile 1, what makes you so unique? What's so different about you, Pile 1? I'm getting a lot of messages already. I just want to wait until I see all of your tarot. The Fool, yeah, okay. All right, so we have the 4 of Cups, the 8 of Wands, the King of Wands, the 10 of Pentacles, and we have the Fool card. I really feel like there's this element to you of... I was watching this video recently, and it showed up on my home feed, and it was the different divine feminine archetypes, and one of the archetypes was the mystic. And I feel this energy from you of being in that energy, of being someone who, especially because of the picture that you chose here where they're like comfortable in their home space, like they were describing the mystic as someone who was really about being in their own energy and being protective of their own energy and really sort of making their personal space, making their home a safe haven from the world and sort of cultivating a space where they would feel safe and secure and able to engage in their spiritual practices. And again, just like enjoying your own energy. And I say that, I was reminded of that because of the King of Wands here. In Sailor Moon, Tuxedo Mask always has a rose, and people say that he's associated with the zodiac sign Leo, and I definitely think of Leos as people who are, yes, like they can be sociable and they can be extroverted, but Leos love being in their own energy, right? Because Leo is represented by the sun, and so it's like your default setting is this sunny optimism, this hope, this love for life, and I think sometimes when you are a light like that, other people, just by you being this light, you are then sort of, I don't want to say, like, I guess susceptible. You are susceptible to people coming in, and because they can't generate that own light for themselves, they don't understand the magic of how you're doing that. They then have to come and feed off of that energy that you possess all on your own. That's how this 8 of Wands is looking like. This 8 of Wands looks like it's all coming in and hitting this King of Wands all at once. And the King of Wands knows how to master this energy. They know how to claim the rose for themselves, right? They don't have to wait for it to come in. They don't have to generate it. They can handle and master any sort of situation because of that optimism, that choice to see the glass half full. And so no matter what life is throwing at them, they can master it. Other people don't necessarily have that ability because they don't have that love, that inner light that guides them. And so I think other people look at you and they're like, how do they do that? How do they roll with those punches? And I think that kind of calls back again to that initial picture that we had of you being connected to your inner child, being connected to that sense of wonderment about the world and that sense of hope and light and love, even though you've had some difficult, unexpected, challenging situations thrown at you that would have left other people feeling dissatisfied, hopeless, down, whereas you were able to master it and feel stable and secure, still feel hopeful and optimistic, even though, again, like you're having to roll with those punches. So definitely a lot of fire sign energy here, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. But I also think of that divine masculine energy being an energy where, again, we're just talking about energy, we're not talking about gender, but this energy of being able to be masterful and commanding a situation that is otherwise out of control. Like when Tuxedo Mask shows up in a fight sequence, he shows up and immediately he just throws a rose in and everything stops. You know, and the villain, whoever is attacking, like the Sailor Guardian, stops and listens to what Tuxedo Mask is saying. And so there's a little bit of an element of theater, a little bit of element of drama here. But yeah, there's just this confidence, this way that you command things, but in a way that's very lighthearted and fun. And so I feel like, how does this show up in your daily life, right? Like, if people are having an argument, I feel like you would be able to diffuse the tension with a joke. You know, like, I feel like if you walked into a room, like, it's like flowers turning towards the sun, right? Like, you're not necessarily having to do or say too much. It's just the essence of who you are. And I think people feel very energized being around you, you know, like you're like sunlight, you know, people feel good when they hang up the phone after they're done talking to you, you know, like you have this energy that's very restorative to other people. And I think, again, it's because you know when to give to others and you know when to pull back and be in that mystic energy where you're taking care of yourself, taking care of your home, and you're spending time with yourself, you're spending time with your inner child, and you know when it's time for you to give to others and when it's time to replenish yourself. And I feel like that's something that keeps you from being dissatisfied, that keeps you from ignoring your blessings, because I think that you count every single one of your blessings. Absolutely. And yeah, I just really feel like there's this inner strength, this resiliency to you that not everyone has. And I think a lot of it too is your ability to have fun and play with life. I think that you view it in a lot of ways as like a game. And, you know, sometimes, sort of like in a video game, you know how you have like multiple lives? Like if you die, no big deal. Like, yeah, you start from the beginning, the full card, you start from the beginning, but you always have an abundance of lives, right? Like you always have the ability to choose a different path, to choose a different way. Like when you die, it's not really death. And I think that goes into sort of not only that resiliency that we were talking about, but also this energy of, because you have this connection to spirituality, you understand that death is always an ability to transform, to have a rebirth, and death isn't just the end, it's the time for a new beginning. Like you understand those things go hand in hand. And I know that's quite a heavy message, but I think that infiltrates everything that you do. And you understand you're not walking this path alone, like you have your spiritual team with you. And so it just colors your perception of how you live your life. Like you are okay to take those leaps of faith because you know spirit will catch you. You know, and I don't think everyone has that understanding. And because you do, you take more risks. You're braver, you're bolder. And again, like I think there's this sense of freedom about you. An authenticity that feels very wholesome, feels very pure. Let's get into your oracle. So we have Our Lady of Divine Direction. We have Ivy. And we have Banishment here. I want to stop before I pull the rest of your oracle. Let's look at these cards first. Our Lady of Divine Direction. It's that communion that you have, that ongoing open dialogue that you have with your spiritual team, with your guides, your angels, your higher self, your soul, whatever terminology, whatever energy you resonate with, whatever deities that you work with, it feels like you know there are these energies, this spiritual protection, like you know that even though someone's not physically standing here holding your hand, you are being held. And because you have that sense of that, again, like you're more free in your life. And you're able to look at things from a higher perspective and see like this is why certain things had to come to pass. And you understand that everything that is coming at you is for a higher purpose, is for your self-development. And so you don't get upset in this way. Like you don't stay in this energy the way other people may fall prey to this energy, because you're able to see things again from that higher perspective and understand that you're being divinely led towards something. And so you have this ability to let things go when it's time to let things go, and you have an ability to receive things when it's time to receive. And so this makes you the star, sort of the hero of your own journey. With the Ivy card here, I always have like a specific this card, like if you look in the guidebook, talks about finances. And so like you could be very financially blessed with the Ten of Pentacles and the Ivy card. But in the context of this reading, and I always interpret this card this way, she is the cover of the actual box. So out of all the cards in this deck, and it's quite a big deck, she was the one that the creators of the deck chose to be on the front cover of the box. And so I always interpret this card as being the star of the show, right? Like she's the one who gets to be on the front cover. She's the first fairy that you see out of all the other fairies, right? There's something very special about her. And there's something that, you know, draws your eye in. And so she's just standing there. She's not, you know, like other fairies in the deck are, you know, doing all these things. She's just standing there. She's just being herself. And she is the star of the show, right? She was the one who was selected. And so there's this energy in your life of like, because you lead with your heart, because you lead and walk in your faith, that mystic energy, like, yes, it can be quite a reclusive energy, right? Like the mystic can withdraw and just be in her own home, be in her own space. I'm using her, but again, just know I'm talking about energy. I'm not really talking about gender. We've talked about divine masculine. Now we are talking about your divine feminine energy. I'm sorry, pile one. But yeah, there's this energy too, this beautiful balance here where you can be reclusive and focus on self-restoration, and then you can return to the outside world and engage with it in a way that is so authentically you, because you've taken this time away to know yourself. And when you know yourself, that's the greatest power that you can possibly have. Not everyone knows themselves. Some people have very little self-awareness, but you do. And so this is what puts you on the path of the hero's journey here. Like you are the hero of your own story, the main character. And as a result, like you are loved, you are held by the universe. It feels like you are a child of the universe. This ivy wrapping itself around you here, pile one, like you are held by the universe, this mystical energy, and yet you are also hugged and loved by Mother Gaia, the earthly realms, with the Ten of Pentacles here. So if you haven't gotten to this Ten of Pentacles state in your life yet, where you have that financial abundance and security, I feel like you are on the path towards that, just as a side message. Because it really does feel like you're working to co-create with the universe what you want to bring into your life, and you're walking in your faith, you're walking in your trust, and you know it, you know your worth, you know what you deserve, and you also know what you need to work on, and when you need to pull back, and when you need to do your healing or your self-reflection or your other spiritual practices. And so again, like it's this beautiful balance between the mystic and the earth, between the mystic and the heart, right? And so it does feel like you're able to really discern. It says you have the power to banish negative energy and unwanted problems. You have the ability to discern like what isn't working in your life, what energies are not working with you, and to let that go, to clear it out. Again, like that is the power of the mystic. That's who you are. Like you just know what is good for you and what isn't. And anything that is serving to deplete your energy, you banish it. Because you know your energy is your strength. That's the sun, that's your heart, that's your birthright. And so, no, there's no settling for less here. And you are divinely protected, divinely guided. Even here, like she looks like she's wrapped up, right? Like it just feels like you're cocooned by all of this spiritual protection. And you've called that in yourself. And it's because of that willingness to co-create. And I think also there's probably this energy as well. There's something unique, I would say, about your style and about the way that you present yourself, again, because it's quite authentic. And so I feel like if you're the type of person who wears jewelry, there would be something special, something significant about the jewelry. It would hold some sort of special meaning to you, some sort of special resonance with you beyond like, I think this looks pretty. Not that there's anything wrong with that, I just feel like that's your energy. And so you could be someone who has like talismans, you know, like, oh, I wear this bracelet for luck. Oh, I, you know, wear this ring that has like a bee on it or a certain flower on it because it reminds me of my grandmother and she was someone that I respected and she taught me these things, or, you know, certain things that just resonate with you. You know, like you're the type of person that would feel like you had a spirit animal, you know what I mean? Like very spiritual group, very spiritual. And I think there's an energy too of people trying to emulate you in certain ways. And I think sometimes that's flattering and other times that again feels like a drain on your energy, you know? And that could just be people repeating certain phrases that you're known for. You know, trying to emulate your way of speaking or your style, or again, like just the way that you show up in a room, like people trying to emulate your sort of vibe, almost like your aesthetic, something about that. I think other people, and it could just be strangers, like seeing you on a street and being inspired by you, but there's something there about you being a leader, someone that people look up to in some capacity. Okay, let's look at the rest of your oracle. We have I am peaceful, and we have I care for the earth. Yes, I feel like there's this divine communion here. Like you are balancing beautifully the spirit world and the earthly realm here, you know? And I feel like that's why we were picking up like this is your divine masculine energy, this is your divine feminine energy, because it feels like everything you do is quite balanced. Quite balanced. It feels like you're a very mature person. With this I am peaceful card, I think again like your main focus is your peace, is being in your own energy. Like your own energy is so beautiful because you have put work into it. Like you have done your healing, you engage in spiritual practices, you know, you have a very close, intimate relationship with yourself. You know yourself and you don't define yourself by what other people say, what other people think about you, other people gossiping. You don't define yourself by your romantic partnerships. You don't define yourself by what your family thinks you should be or what your friends say you are. Like you could care less. You have just this intimate relationship with yourself, and you understand the deeper you come to know yourself, the deeper you have this connection and relationship to spirit. And that is you. So there's this sense of oneness about all of it. And with I care for the earth, you know, in a practical sense, like you could be like a vegan or a vegetarian or someone who just really connects well with animals, you know, like your friend's dog could love you more than anyone, you know, like cats love you just instinctively, like animals come up to you, wildlife comes up to you, like, you know, like you're Snow White or something. Like there's just this, I think, easy connection between you and the earth and everything that makes up the earth. You know, I think that you just, I just think that you understand your place in this world and your place in this universe, and you don't try to exert your will upon things in a way where you're resistant. You know, like I think that you go with the flow and you learn from life and you understand that, you know, it's not that spirit is trying to take away things from you or deny you your wishes or your desires. You understand if something's not meant for you, something better is coming along. Like, you know, like you just have trust and faith in the process, and you're not like, you know, when is this happening for me? And like, why hasn't this happened? Or, you know, there's just this feeling of like, I'm worthy, I'm good enough, I'm deserving. And if something hasn't come into my life yet, either I'm not ready for it, or it's not ready for me, or there's something better. And that's how you live your life. There's this easiness to you. There's a real easiness to you. Okay, pile 1. Let's end your reading with a message from your spirit cat. We have Mischief. Meet Jasper. He is a playful little trickster known to pounce on toes while you're sleeping and possibly tiptoe across your computer while you are trying to work. There is a twinkle of mischief in his eyes that you can't help but love. He reminds us not to take things so seriously. Sometimes the biggest disasters can seem funny when you look at it through Jasper's eyes. He is light-hearted, he is laughter, giggles, and sighs. And yes, he really did need to steal a little sip out of your drink when you were looking the other way. This is your energy, pile 1. Like, it's the laughter, it's the fun with life, you know? That part where it says, like, not taking things so seriously and looking at the biggest disasters through a light-hearted lens. That's you, pile 1, like all day long. There's just this willingness to have fun and this willingness to have this playful energy with life. And that's the thing, like, as much work as you put into yourself and cultivating your peace and being protective of your own energy, as much work as you put into all of that, at the end of the day, you don't take yourself too seriously. You don't have a big ego about it. Yeah, like, there is that, like, star energy to you because of that authenticity that you have. But again, like, you're not egocentric about it. And I think that's your power. Absolutely. So pile 1, this was your reading. I hope it resonated for you. I loved this reading. I really liked being in your energy, pile 1. So yes, thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. Thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. I will see you guys in my next one. Take care, pile 1. Hi, pile 2. Welcome to your reading. So if you chose this picture here, you are in the right place. I will say, when I looked at this one initially, I kind of got the energy here of what makes you so unique is this idea that you're able to form friendships and bonds with people who may be misunderstood or difficult to love, or just unexpected people, you know, people that maybe on the surface it doesn't seem like you have a lot in common. You know, I feel like you're able to bond and connect with really anyone. And I think that really comes down to your willingness to be compassionate and to listen to other people and to hear their stories, and like this genuine interest in other people. You know, like, a lot of people, when they talk to others, they're focused on what they're gonna say next, you know? They're not really listening when someone else is speaking, you know, they're listening to respond, maybe not necessarily listening to understand. And so I feel like you're someone who really does that. Like, you're genuinely interested in other people and their thoughts and their feelings and their story, and you're not just trying to get your point across, or you know, there's not like, oh, I just want to hear myself talk. And I just feel like you're someone who knows how to be a good friend, I think, at the end of the day, and that's very special. You know, I feel like there's a real talent here for the way that you speak to others, you know. Yeah. And I think, again, like, not judging a book by its cover and being like really open and receptive to other people and holding your judgment, reserving your judgment, you know, not making snap opinions about people, or, you know, holding a first impression against somebody, or holding a grudge against someone because of some little insignificant thing they said or done, maybe like, you know, in the first meeting with them, things like that, that can sometimes happen. Let's see if there's anything else that I'm getting from this. I feel like also just sort of maybe balancing different sides to yourself, you know, and being really really understanding and receptive that, you know, we all have our light and our shadow side, and being willing to integrate that. Okay, so let's put this to the side and let's get into your tarot pile 2. I will say, when I was shuffling your oracle cards, I could not stop smiling. Like, I think that there's just something very warm and very loving about your energy pile 2, that really just, I don't even know how to describe it. It just, it felt very, I don't know, there was something very magical about your energy when I was shuffling your oracle cards. Like, I couldn't help but smile. Of course, we have Judgment to start. I want to get 2 more cards for you, pile 2, and then we'll get into it. Okay, beautiful. So we have the Princess of Pentacles, we have Judgment, we have the Moon, we have the Chariot card, and we have the Six of Pentacles. This is making me very happy because this is very much in alignment with the energy that I was picking up from the image here. With the Judgment card, there really is sort of just this vibe about you where you're able to hold space for other people. You know, like, you're someone that people can come to for support, and a shoulder to cry on, someone to listen to. You know, you have this open heart and this willingness to hear other people out without judging them, without criticizing them, without making them feel like there's something wrong with their character. You know, like, you're able to separate people's character from their intentions and their actions. You know, like, you understand that no one's perfect, and that we all have our shadows, and we all have our flaws and things that we need to work on, behaviors that we need to change, but you don't see it as something that's inherently wrong with someone. You see it as a behavior that they can work on, or a perspective, a mentality that they can improve upon. You know, like, you give people a chance, you give people space to grow. You don't judge people harshly, or put them, or slap a label on them, or count them out because of one bad thing they did in their past. You know, like, you understand everyone has a story and everyone makes mistakes. So there's just this beautiful, like, openness to you, and this willingness to emotionally show up and hold space for other people. Like, I think you would make a great counselor or a great therapist, anyone working in the mental health field or the helping professions. Like, you would even make a great teacher, quite honestly, because of this, just the way that you make people feel comfortable, you know, and I feel like you're quite calm about it. You know, there's something that's very healing about your energy, because, again, like, you're not judging people so harshly. You see people as people. You know, you don't see someone as a label. For example, like, I work in addiction counseling, so if you were, I think you would do great in that field because you wouldn't, if you were working in that field, pile 2, you wouldn't label people as an addict or, you know, some derogatory term. I don't even want to say them, but I think you guys can think of some of the terms I'm talking about. You wouldn't label people in that way. You would see them as a person who, you know, has engaged in a maladaptive coping skill to survive the trauma they have experienced. You know what I mean? Like, you would hold space for people. You would understand the disease or the disorder is separate from the person. And so you would separate out the behavior of the addiction and the disorder, the mental health disorder, from the person and who they are. And so I think that's what you're able to do. I think it's very special what you do for other people, very special. With the Chariot card here, like, you understand that we're all on our own journeys. You know, we're all moving in some sort of direction here, and you give people space to change. You give people space to grow. And I think that you're quite, I think that you're quite good at that. You know, I do think that you're very giving to people in that way. You give them some leeway, some time to make healthier decisions, you know, engage in healthier habits, you know. I think you're quite kind to other people. I also think you're really great at motivating people as well. You know, like if a friend came to you and said like, I want to, you know, engage in some sort of healthier habit, I think that you would show them and help them find a way to do that in their routine. I think it's a really great balance here between you being able to give people practical advice that helps them in like a real grounded, like earthly way, but also again, like holding that emotional space for people when they need it. And I think honestly, it's not just, this goes both ways. Like you do this for other people, but you do it for yourself as well. Like you give yourself that same grace. You know, you're gentle with yourself in that same manner, and it helps you in the long run because you're able to achieve like self-actualization, like you're able to achieve what you want to achieve, become the person you want to become because you're gentle with yourself, because you're compassionate with yourself. You understand that it's not just about self-discipline, it's about self-compassion as well. And so there's this beautiful balance, I think, between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. I think that you integrate like your own shadow quite well, Pile, too. Let's see if there's any other messages that I'm getting here. I also think that part of the reason why you're so compassionate towards other people, and that would be like the defining quality that makes you so unique, and this ability to, you know, connect with people who are from very different backgrounds than you. Because you've been through so much, I feel like you've gained this wisdom through experience, and you've traveled quite far in your own journey here. And you've had to start over from scratch. You know, like you've gone through many different cycles in your life. And because of that, you know, even if you haven't been through the exact same thing someone else has, you're able to resonate with maybe like what their motivation was for engaging in that. So if we go back to the example of addiction, maybe you yourself have never used illicit substances before. You know, you've never engaged in like drug use. It's never been a coping skill for you. But maybe you do resonate with the feelings of anxiety or depression or the experience of trauma, or this need or desire to engage in like a risk-taking behavior. Like maybe you don't understand like that actual coping skill, that survival technique that again is like maladaptive, but you do understand what motivated them to turn towards that. You know, like you can connect with like the sadness they felt over their experience of homelessness or divorce, or like, you know, like whatever it was that prompted that, you know, the underlying like root causes. You can have compassion and find a way where you relate, where you connect with them. I think you have that real ability, that knack to connect with people. Like you can find something about anyone where you can connect with them. And that's a skill. Like that is a talent that is unique to you, Pile 2. Not everyone is able to do that. I mean, I think that you could find something to love about even the most challenging person. Like I just think that there's such a capacity here for you to love and to hold space for other people. And again, like even when someone is at their worst, I think that you choose to see them in a better light. Okay, let's get into your oracle, Pile 2. We have Our Lady of Divine Presence. We have dandelions. We have communication here. I'll get the rest of your oracle in a second, but I want to talk about these cards first. This is really doing a great job of summarizing what we've been talking about so far. With the dandelions here, like you can choose to see dandelions as a flower. You can choose to see them as weeds, as a nuisance, right? It's all about perspective. And I also think that you're quite discerning and able to see like what people are ready to receive this healing energy from you and what people just aren't there yet. And so I don't feel like you overgive. I don't feel like you empty your cup or set yourself on fire to save someone else or to fill someone else up, you know? Like, you know who is worthy, or maybe not worthy, you know who is ready for this healing energy and who isn't. And so I don't feel like you give to the detriment of yourself. I feel like you really have an understanding of like, where should I plant my seeds? Where should I, you know, sort of cultivate a garden with someone? Like, where is this fertile ground for healing, and who just isn't in that stage of change yet? And so I think you're quite discerning about that. I think that you are able to see who is, you know, someone who should be in your friend circle. You're able to see who should be a contender for a romantic partner and who just isn't energetically at that level yet, you know? So I think you're quite discerning about who you give this space to, who you give this healing energy to, who you give your words of affirmation and kindness and understanding to, and who you just have to leave where they're at because they're not ready for it. Now with this communication card, it says, effective communication builds a deep bond grounded in common trust and understanding. I feel like this is where your talent lies, pile 2. Like your ability to talk to anybody and your ability to express and share ideas. And so you could be a great poet, a great writer. You could be a talented speaker, someone again who like motivates other people towards change. Even if it's a large group setting or one-on-one communication, I don't think it matters. And some of you may not have tapped into that ability towards public speaking yet, but I do think you have a capacity to be great at that. I know a lot of people have a lot of fear around that, and that I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying that if you tried, I think you would surprise yourself. I think you would be quite good at that. But again, I think you're really effective at communication, whether it's in a group setting or one-on-one. I think you have a unique ability to convey exactly what you want to say, and in a way that other people are open and receiving and willing to hear it. You know, again, I think that you would be a great mediator as well. You know, I think that you would be great at conflict resolution, at helping two opposing sides see where their common ground lies. And again, like anything creative in relationship to communication, I think that you would be great at. So, you know, you could write a book. So, you know, whatever the case may be, like I think that you would be very talented at that. With Our Lady of Divine Presence, again, like I think that you hold space for people. And that's such a beautiful thing to do, you know, and I think that, again, there's just something very healing about your energy. Like people feel like they can open up to you. People feel like they are safe to be vulnerable with you. They can share with you. Again, like there's no fear of being judged here. There's no fear that you're not going to listen, that you're going to talk over them. You know, people don't even, I think, have to explain too much. I think that you're really great at picking up on nonverbal behaviors, you know, those nonverbal cues, body language. I think that you have a real knack for that, a real understanding of that. All right, let's look at the rest of your oracle. I act respectfully of others, and I create harmony. You see the feather here. So there's this idea that when you die, I'm sorry about the siren, if you guys can hear that in the background. But there's this idea that when you die, your heart should be as light as a feather. So on Judgment Day, you know, when your soul is being judged, what did you do in this lifetime? Your heart should be as light as a feather. You shouldn't have any grief, any regrets. You know, things that you've done wrong to others or in your life shouldn't be weighing down your heart. Your heart should be as light as a feather. And I think that you're someone who truly believes that everyone has that capacity. Every soul has that capacity to have a heart as light as a feather. And I think that your heart is just beautiful, Pile 2. Like, I think you have a very beautiful, warm, loving heart. I said I couldn't stop smiling when I was shuffling your oracle. So I think that energy comes quite naturally to you because you always try to act with good intentions. You know, you are always thinking about other people and how your actions and your energy affects others. You're very mindful of that. And so I think that because you're able to do that yourself, you see a capacity for other people to achieve that as well. And so you believe in other people. There's this belief in humanity, and that's hard to do. Like, it's so easy to be pessimistic and cynical about the state of the world, but I think you cling to that. You hold on tightly to that. You're not willing to let that go. That belief that people are essentially good. You're not willing to let that go. You're not willing to let go of your idealism. And so I think that's something that's quite beautiful and unique about you, because turn on the news, like, cynicism is everywhere, right? There's a lot of horrible and terrible things going on in the world. It's so easy to fall into that and believe that there is no hope. And so this willingness to still hold on to your ideals, to still believe that you can make a change in other people's lives and a change in the world as a result. That you can be good, that goodness can extend outward, that by you being good, you're helping other people, you know? And again, that willingness to, because society does that, right? Like, puts people into boxes, labels people, counts people out. You know, you're a loser, you'll always be a loser. You know, like, you don't see people in that way. And so, again, that willingness to have respect for all life, for all people, that willingness to believe in the good, I think is quite unique. And this I create harmony, I think, goes back to what we were saying before about your ability to mediate opposing groups, for you to find a common ground. You know, I don't think that you're extremist in your thinking. You know, I don't think that you're militant in your thinking. I think you're quite flexible because you're able to see different perspectives, different sides of the same story. And, you know, I think that you seek harmony in groups. You know, you want people to get along. You want people to hear each other out. You want people to see people as people and not labels. All right, I think if I keep talking, I'm gonna get repetitive because I think you guys get the gist of what I'm saying. So let's end with your spirit cat message here. It says, play. Meet Pippa of the Dream Circus. Some kitties come straight out of the imagination to remind us to play. Here is to a moment of dancing, twinkling toes, and laughter. Where most only see empty air, Pippa sees colorful tweeting birds doing a tantalizing, I don't know what that says, and errant butterflies playing peekaboo, urging her to the chase. To play is to do something for pure joy of the doing it. It is a frolicking mix of experimentation, curiosity, and absurdity. Where can you let more of Pippa's playful spirit and lighthearted air into your work and your life? I feel like this is you, you know? Like, remember how I said I couldn't help but smile when I was shuffling your oracle? You see something where other people see nothing. You see potential where other people see a lost cause. You know, like, there's a real willingness here to see the light, see the good, see where there's room for play, where other people see only drudgery and hopelessness, you know? So pile 2, this was your reading. I hope it resonated. I hope you enjoyed it. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me today, Pile 2, and I will see you in my next one. Take care. Hi Pile 3, welcome to your reading. So if you chose the Dark Lady, you are in the right place. I will say, just with the image that you chose here, there's definitely this energy where you are more than willing to go your own way, more than willing to sort of accept your shadow self and understanding that that's what makes you authentically you. It's not just the parts of yourself that are easy to love, you know, it's the parts of yourself that are challenging, you know, parts of yourself that are maybe difficult or would be difficult for other people to accept, you know, like there's just this love for like who you are as a person, like your whole self. You don't relegate your shadow self to the shadows, you know, you integrate it. I think you're someone who's done some healing. I think you're someone who is spiritually aware, and you know, you love and accept yourself and show up as yourself regardless of whether other people love you, accept you, whatever. You love and accept yourself. And so, you know, anything people say about you, I don't think it really, I just don't think it bothers you. Like, it's like water off a duck's back. Like, you know who you are, and, you know, kind of that boss energy, you know? Like, you don't let that imprison you. You don't let it hold you back. Like, you've been, I think that you have been through it, pile 3, and it's kind of like you've been through these challenges and these difficult situations to the point that I think that you had to deal with a lot of criticism, like you were kicked when you were down. And because you were kicked when you were down and you saw that for what it was, like people just taking advantage of you being in a difficult place and seeing that as an opportunity to like gang up on you or make you feel lesser than because, you know, they're projecting their own insecurity onto you. And, you know, really, they should have been supporting you and being kind to you and expressing compassion. And so instead of like you taking that on and believing what they were telling you that you were, you found your strength in that. You found your resiliency. And so now no one can tell you who you are because you know, you found yourself, you know, you grew through the pain. You found purpose in the pain, and now you don't take advice or let other people tell you who you are. Not that you don't seek guidance or anything like that, but I don't think that you're sitting around having like a poll or a discussion forum about what should I do, where should I go, like would I be good at this, am I good enough to do this, or anything like that. I think if you want to do something, you go inward, you know, seek guidance from spirit, and then you just go for it, you know? Like, I really feel like you have such a deep belief in yourself because it's almost like you feel like you've experienced some of the worst things that could happen to a person, and because you went through it and you believed in yourself and you didn't buy into the criticism that other people were throwing at you, you know, like I said, kicking you when you were down, because you didn't buy into that and you stood strong in who you are. Because you did that, you feel like you can meet anything. You feel like you can get through anything, and you don't let other people's thoughts and opinions about you overwhelm you, you know, like kind of this vibe of like what other people say about me really isn't my business. You know, like that's sort of the vibe that you're on, pile 3. So we have the 4 of Pentacles, we have the 8 of Swords, we have the 6 of Swords, we have the Princess of Wands, and we have the 4 of Swords here. Yes, like I feel like you have been in situations where you felt trapped and you felt stuck, and no one was going to get you out of that except yourself. And you did it. You know, like you were willing to be brave. You were willing to be a beginner again. You were willing to rebuild your life from scratch whenever you had to do it. And even if it meant letting go of like what you had been previously clinging to, I felt like you went within, you sought that guidance, and you went after what you needed to do. You know, like there just wasn't any room there for you to stay where you were at. And I think that you've had to, remember, it's a general reading, so it's going to vary, but I think that you had to make decisions that other people thought were risky, or like, oh, you'll never be able to pull that off, or like, you know, you should stay where you're at. People telling you that you should settle for less, or telling you what you were capable of, what you weren't capable of. And I think that you typically tend to be quite a hard-working person, and other people who tend to feel insecure about your work ethic then took that opportunity when you were feeling down, when you were experiencing a setback, to tell you, oh, you deserve that, you should have done this, you should have done that, you know, you should have listened to me, when really, like, they're just leaping on this one failure that you had, or this one setback, and clinging to it because it makes them feel good to see you down and out, because typically you're on a mountain, you're on 10, and that makes them feel bad about themselves, you know. And it was probably the same people that you had been supporting and giving advice to and trying to help elevate, you know. Like, unfortunately, that's just some people's MO, you know. Like, they just can't be happy for other people, but they also can't be supportive of other people when they're down, you know. And I feel like you really had to make some decisions. I think you maybe had to let some people go in your life. It's a very different reading than the first two groups, but pile 3, I just really feel like you've been put through the ringer, and you've had to go inward, and you've had to sort of like meditate, you know, and get in connection with yourself and your guides, and figure out, like, where should I go? What should I do? How do I get myself out of this? But I think that's what's so unique to you, is that you're not listening to other people. You're not basing your life's decisions on what looks good or sounds good to other people. You know, you're trying to do what is in alignment with your soul. And how unique is that? How different is that? How many people do that, pile 3? I'm feeling called to get more tarot for your group. Yeah, 9 of Swords. Like, yeah, you're not kept up at night. You're not anxious. You're not restless because of what other people are saying about you. You know, like, you're just going your own way. You're making your own path in this world. And it doesn't matter if other people don't understand it, or other people think you're wrong for your choices. That's really what it is that you take ownership over your choices, and you take ownership over your life. You take ownership over who you are. Like, you own it. You know, like, there's just this energy of like if you were on a reality TV show, I think that you would do quite well with it, because I think even if you were in a position of fame and you had all eyes on you and everyone knew your personal business, like what happens when you're on a reality TV show, right? You're under a microscope. I think even in like a high stakes situation like that, I think that you would still be true to yourself. I think when other people are saying things to get approval from other people, when other people are saying things because they want to fit in, or doing things because they want to fit in, I think you go the opposite way. You go the opposite direction. You don't buy into that. You think that's so false. I think you have such a lack of respect for people who do that. Like, I feel like that is very much like against your code of ethics. I think people who are not authentic, people who are not truthful, people who do things for the sake of appearances, I feel like that is so like gross to you. Like, I feel like that's just so against your own moral code. I think that you take pity on people who do that, you know, like, you're like, man, like, I just think people pleasing and sort of like sort of being kind of two-faced, you know, like saying something to please somebody else, and then, you know, you're talking to another person and you're agreeing with them, and then, you know, that's always you're you know, people who are a friend to everybody are really a friend to nobody. You know, people who just say what you want to hear and will go behind your back and talk behind your back to someone else because now they're telling that person what they want to hear. You know, people who do that, people who are two-faced, three-faced, you know, people who say and do things to please other people and then go and run and complain to everybody else about having to do it. People who are passive aggressive. Like, I think all of that is so out of alignment with who you are. And you may have been that person in the past. And part of like what your journey was growing out of that. And now that you see other people doing it, you're just like, man, I used to be like that. I used to do that. For others of you, this has just always been a thing for you. Like you just cannot stand that energy, you know, like authenticity and truthfulness and standing up for like what you believe in, advocating for those values is so important to you. Living in your truth is so important to you. And I think that you would be willing to be cast as the villain. You would be willing to be like just completely unaccepted, out in the cold on your own. You would rather be completely alone than to have to sacrifice your inner peace for the sake of external harmony. Like, that's not you. You know, you're like, if I can't be myself, then what is the point in me being in this connection with anybody? So you only want people around you that you can be yourself with. Now we also have the Seven of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, we have the Devil, the Five of Wands, and the Two of Pentacles here. These two cards came out together. With the Five of Wands and the Two of Pentacles here, I really feel like you have this energy of like, I'm only in competition with myself. I'm not trying to be better than anybody else. You know, like that's not my deal. If you want to make it a competition, then fine. But I'm not trying to do that. I'm only trying to be my best self for myself, period. You know, and I don't think that you see things as needing to be a competition. You know, I really feel like you have this energy of abundance and that you think that there's enough for everybody. And it's not a loss, you know, if something's not meant for you, it's not meant for you. Seven of Pentacles, I think you're able to be quite patient towards your goals. I think you have a tenacity about you. Ace of Wands, I think that you're willing to go the extra mile. You're willing to be adventurous. You're willing to try something new. You know, if something doesn't work out, you don't keep at it. You know, you're like, if it's not meant for me, it's not meant for me, on to the next. And I think it's that. Other people see that as you being like a quitter, as you giving up, and you're like, nope. Like, I've sought my internal guidance, like this isn't for me. I'm gonna try something new, and you can view that as me being flaky, flighty, a risk taker, you know, whatever. I'm doing me, and like, I know that this isn't meant for me now. I'm gonna do this instead. You know, it's just, you just have this intimate, like, another group had this. You just have this intimate, like, ongoing conversation between you and spirit, and you don't, again, like, you don't worry about what everyone else says you should be doing. You just do what feels right to you. And when you seek guidance, you seek guidance from the divine, because you understand, like, the divine is you and you are the divine. You know, it's that oneness. With the Devil here, again, like, I don't think that you relegate the difficult sides to you, you know, like, I think that you have this whole acceptance of yourself. You love yourself for all that you are, you know, and you understand that by integrating the parts of yourself that other people would villainize, that's where healing begins, right? Like, that's where self-development, personal growth begins. And so I think that's your focus, and you could care less about what the gossip is about you or what other people are saying about you or how other people are judging you. You're like, my only like job in this lifetime is to work on me. You know, like, the better that I am, the more that I am living in my truth, that I am, you know, collaborating with the divine, the more that I am following my path and trying to be the best person that I can be for myself, not to be better than anybody else, but just for myself. That is what raises the vibration of the collective. Not beating somebody else, not living up to someone else's expectations, not being in competition with other people, not concerning myself with what other people say I should be or do or say or look like. Like, no, you know, like, it's just that walking in your truth, How many people can say that? Pile 3, like you are a force to be reckoned with. Like I want to make that very clear. Okay. We have Our Lady of the Ocean of Rebirth. You allow yourself to transform, to grow, to heal, to start all over again as many times as you need to. Like I think that there's that Scorpio energy, like this willingness to be reborn again and again and again. Like just this willingness to start over as many times as you need to. Like you really look at yourself as like someone who will always be this work in progress. Like you are always reassessing, how can I be better? Am I really like on the right path right now? What needs to be changed? What needs to be healed? What needs to be cleared out? Like there is such a focus on the self that I think is quite powerful, because you're not externalizing blame. You're not blaming anyone else for your circumstances, because you're like, what's the point? Like even if I am like being systematically oppressed, even if that is the case, I don't have any control over that. But what I do have control over is myself. What I do have control over is this collaboration that I have with the divine. So if I can't change it, I'll pray on it. But what I can change, what I can exert control over is myself, how I respond, how I act, how I show up in my life, my own energy. That's what I have control over. And you have a real understanding of that. We have Earth element here. And we have always. I do feel like with the ocean of rebirth, this water energy, Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, next to this earth energy, Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus, I feel like you're able to explore your emotional states. You're able to use the information that your emotions are trying to tell you, the messages your emotions, your feelings are trying to send you, and you're able to use those feelings, those temporary states, as a way to enact change in your life. Real grounded change. You're like, what are my emotions trying to tell me? Like you really listen to your heart. Really listen to your heart. Really listen to what those feelings are telling you. And again, I think that is why you're able to master and integrate that shadow self, because you're not repressing those feelings. You're not repressing those unwanted emotions, those undesirable states. Like if you have to cry, you cry. Okay, why was I crying? Why? What is it about my life right now that is making me cry, and how can I change it? How can I enact change upon my life in a way that's going to get me out of that emotional state, that's going to allow me to release it, to let it go, so it doesn't keep happening again and again and again. You know, like you use it as information. You see your emotions as a tool. You see them for what they are, as a means to change. And it points you in the right direction there. Now with always here, I love this card for you, pile 3. I love this card for you. It reminds me of like even just you being pile 3, like the power of 3, right? As above, so below. Like it really feels like there's a sense of like romanticism here, of you being a romantic in the sense of like falling in love with yourself again and again and again, but also this feeling of like having this soul connection, knowing that even if you haven't met them yet, there's someone that will understand and love and accept you to the depth that you have come to love and understand and accept yourself. And this is again going back to that feeling of like, I'm not settling for less. I don't need people in my life who tell me I should be one thing or another, or that I'm not good enough, or want to kick me when I'm down. I don't need that, because this kind of connection is out there for me. And also you have this connection with the divine, so it's this beautiful like trinity there of like self-love, this belief in a soulmate connection, whether it's romantic or platonic, but also this beautiful love that you share with the divine. Wonderful. We also have meditation. Meditation will transport you to a place of bliss at any desired time of the day. I think that goes back to that Four of Swords that we had in the very beginning, of your ability to go inward. Your ability to go inward, your ability to connect with the divine. And that's what separates you from being so dependent upon other people. Like, you don't base your self-worth or your value upon societal ideals or what your family or your friends or whoever think you should be or what you should be doing. We have I benefit with gratitude, and I invoke laughter. I feel like there's this real sense of like, yeah, like you're a boss. Like you could be like misunderstood. You could be a little bit intimidating, Pal 3. But I think that there's such a way that you play with life, like this ability to laugh at yourself and to laugh at these difficult circumstances, and this ability to just let it ride. Like if someone tries to tear you down or insult you or put you down in some way, because I think you're quite triggering to people for whatever reason, probably because you are so empowered, Pal 3. When that happens, again, it's like water off a duck's back. Like I think that you just are able to find the humor in it. You know, it kind of gives me like RuPaul's Drag Race vibes. Like if someone's throwing shade at you, you know, like you just are able to kick it right back, but in a way that's humorous and invokes laughter. You know, like you're not angry about it, you're not mad about it, you're not hateful, but you're able to find humor in this like verbal attack towards you. You're able to find the laughter even when people are being quite insulting towards you. You're able to find that comedic moment, you know, and then I think that other person or the group of people, whoever, feel quite silly, quite ridiculous for even starting with you. So yeah, I think that's something that you're quite skilled at. And I think you can do that as well when you you know, advocate for other people or stand up for other people. You're able to do so in a way that's humorous and that gets people's attention. With I benefit with gratitude, I think you're so grateful for all the ways in which Spirit helps you, because I do think that you and Spirit are quite connected and that Spirit guides you a lot and that you rely upon that quite heavily. And I think that the more that you express gratitude for that guidance, even the stronger that bond becomes. It's already quite strong, but I think that it just deepens. All right, so let's end now with a message from your spirit cat. It says, passion. Meet Ember. She is the light blazing inside our being. She is our fire, our drive, our fuel. She is our very life force, yearning and stretching in the direction of our love. Notice what makes Ember begin to glow and burn brighter. Perhaps it is talking openly with a friend or cuddling with your love. Or perhaps it's playing your guitar, scaling a mountain, or writing your story. Look for that spark within and honor it. Stoke that fire with intention. Honor your passion with time and dedication. Feed that flame with devotion. Let passion ignite your light with beauty, energy, and purpose. I was picking up, like, I was thinking about Nicki Minaj when I was doing your reading, and she's a Sagittarius, but there is like this, because you got the Ace of Wands as well, and I know we are picking up water and earth sign energy as well. It just feels like you're able to command these different elements because you're able to command the different sides, aspects to yourself. I think you're quite a dynamic person, Pile 3. And you're able to utilize these different sides of yourself in a way where it's to your benefit and not your detriment. You know, like you're really able to even use your weaknesses as strengths. You know, I think that you're able to see the good even in the darkest parts of your soul, because we all have, again, that shadow aspect. And I think it's that passion, that drive, that willingness to take risks, that belief that the universe, you know, is working with you, for you, not against you, right? And it's, again, it's feeding that passion, that inner drive that you have, completely inner, has nothing to do with gaining someone else's approval, acceptance, love, none of it. Like everything is for you because you understand that is how you achieve alignment with your higher self. That's how you fulfill what your soul came here to do. That's how you raise the vibration of the collective. Like, you get that. And so pile 3, this was your reading. I won't preach to the choir anymore. Thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you. I hope it brought you all the messages that you needed to hear. Please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you always know when I upload. The easiest way to support the channel is to simply watch the ads. Thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting the channel thus far. I am so grateful, and I will see you guys in my next one. Take care, pile 3.